You know I can hear you guys, right?
Yeah, we don't care.
So this is for Harsha and Eddie. There we go. I'm gonna put it right there.
Nice. Dave, you should just start introducing somebody and just slide that up in front of everybody. Just right when you're talking. Just do it, man. That would be awesome.
That last session when I started, you could hear my phone beeping. I kept looking at my emails that pop up. People were giving me so much crap about everything from my hair to my bookcase to.
Or what was funny, Dave, is you act like the camera should have gone off, and you were going.
Yeah.
Trying to keep a straight face.
You look very serious there.
Well,
then it looked like you just put a something over top of it.
So, if nothing else, this virtual conference has been an adventure. I mean,
yeah, it has for sure.
I thought Denitra did great yesterday. My goodness.
Yeah, she did.
I don't see the countdown now for some reason. You guys see it?
Good live, baby. It's playing.
3 minutes. Oh yeah.
How did I lose the countdown?
Well, it's because the intro's going, Dave, with the bows. The bows is playing.
Okay.
I'm getting texted from friends that they can hear us. Just say hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to our conversation.
Give me the go, Patrick, when I'm supposed to start.
Dave Ritchie's asking you, Moses, if you're on all these.
Who is?
Dave Ritchie.
Yeah. All the design ones, anyway.
Vickers picked up your fundamental of physics too, so that's awesome. Good job, Michael.
Okay, I get the chat open now. I can't remember where that's at. Where the hell's the chat?
Diana Radcliffe, this is the happy hour. You're on it right now.
You guys hear me?
Yeah. Yep. You got 1 minute, Dave. But
Okay.
you're live, so whatever you say is everybody else can hear.
Just tell me when we go on. I don't see a countdown or nothing.
Yeah, there is no countdown. It's already begun. But you got 1 minute till 3. The bows have been played before everything starts, but all the people can hear everything we've been saying, so no big deal. But there you have it.
Thanks for the compliment, Aaron. Okay, now we gotta get serious, daggone it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Those of you who saw my last intro, you probably saw the chat room, and I was getting a lot of grief for a lot of different things, really. One was my hair. Eddie and Harsha, those of you who know Eddie and Harsha, they were giving me a little trouble about not mentioning our company. So there's that. Once again, I'm David Moses with Integrated Engineering, and I'm here to introduce the speakers for the 3 o'clock session. Preview of the AASHTOWARE Estimation software. Say goodbye to Estimator. We have with us today Bob Lewis, who is with the Kentucky Transportation Center. Jeff Jasper, who is also a research engineer with the Kentucky Transportation Center. Don Bustle, Systems IT Consultant for Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. Adam Ulrich, a Transportation Engineer Specialist with the Transportation Cabinet. And Mark Faulhaber, a Systems IT Consultant with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to the panel.
Okay, thank you, David. All right, welcome, and thanks for joining us for our discussion today about the AASHTOWARE Estimation software. I enjoyed yesterday's session very much, and I guess in case anybody's wondering, yes, I think we're all wearing shoes today, and pants for that matter. I'm not sure if my video is showing, but my walls are also tan. I think that was mentioned during the discussion yesterday as well. So on a more serious note, one of our fellow team members is not available today. Mark Faulhaber had a heart procedure done this morning. And we've prepared a video of our presentation in case one or more of us couldn't be here today given the pandemic. So in fact, I just heard from Mark, and the procedure went well, and he's now resting at home. And so we're all thinking about him. Just one note, if you do have a question, please enter those through the Q&A tab, and we'll try to answer those after the presentation. So with that, we'll start the video. Thank you. Office of Information Technology in the Vendor System Support Branch. And our office handles all of the technology needs for the cabinet, and our branch specifically handles third-party vendor technology products. And we work with numerous areas of the cabinet to use and implement these important vendor software tools. So we want to welcome everybody again today to talk about the AASHTOWARE project estimation software. This is the cabinet's mission, and I think the use of implementing this software is consistent with the cabinet's mission in that it will improve efficiencies and it is fiscally responsible, which we'll talk about during the course of this presentation. So today's presenters will include, other than myself, will include Jeff Jasper with the Kentucky Transportation Center, Mark Faulhaber with the Office of Information Technology and the Vendor System Support Branch, Bob Lewis, who is also with the Kentucky Transportation Center, and Adam Ulrich with the Department of Highways. So we're going to go through and just I'm handling the overview. Jeff will talk a little bit about the background on this initiative and the research study that the Transportation Center did about this initiative. Mark Faulhaber will go through and talk about how project estimation serves the cabinet's goals. We'll also do a review of the software with Bob and Adam, and then we'll talk about next steps. We're anticipating that we'll have some time for questions at the end. So project estimation is software that's web-based, cradle-to-grave estimation application designed to deliver reliable estimates for highway construction projects. And it is expected to eventually replace AASHTOWARE, the Estimator client-based system. Although that may be later this year or early next year before we eliminate Estimator completely. So the software supports total cost estimation, including assessment and risk of an assignment of risk contingency life cycle analysis, and the ability to use snapshots to create an audit trail for agency estimates. This allows the cabinet to carefully monitor scope and budget over the entire lifespan of a highway project. So some of the states that are using the software currently, it's been in existence for about 3 years, and currently 5 states are in production with it. Oregon, Arkansas, and ourselves are currently in the implementation phase. So AASHTOWARE project software estimation is part of an enterprise system managing the entire construction contract lifecycle, covering cost estimation, proposal, preparation, bidding and bid analysis, construction management, and inspection materials management, civil rights, and data analysis. And we're implementing estimation. Right now we have CRL, or civil rights and labor. We have pre-construction, and we're in the process of implementing project construction and materials. We do not have the data analytics software at this point. So the new software is envisioned to become the single point of entry for all cost estimates, which will promote a streamlined workflow for cost estimates and therefore eliminating the need for internal handoffs that can lead to inconsistency, scope creep, excuse me. So the software supports various pricing methodologies, including bid-based, which is the actual historical bid data. It also cost-based, which builds estimated prices based on equipment, labor, material costs, and markups and overhead costs. Reference-based, which populates cost estimate, price items, item pricing based on prices stored in a reference table. Parametric estimates using pre-engineered models, parametrics and construction criteria, and ad hoc, of course, based on the estimator's personal experience. So this actually leads into Jasper's discussion about the research initiative at the Kentucky Transportation Center. Jeff?
Thank you, Don. A few years ago, the Research Center was charged with the study titled Initial Project Estimates for Planning, Design, Right-of-Way, Utilities, and Construction. The research objectives were to look at the estimation process the cabinet uses, and then show areas where the cabinet could improve. Improvement focused upon the uniformity of estimates, knowing where the estimates are. It's even a challenge sometimes to even find where the estimates are. And very quickly we went to focus on the construction estimate, because construction estimate is the largest dollars. Next slide, please. So part of the challenge with initial project estimates is that the request for projects come from a number of different areas. The top of this illustration shows you that there are at least 6 areas here routinely where estimates are requested. And then middle of the estimate, middle of this illustration, the estimates go to these 5 different places: the district, the chief district engineer, central office planning, various places in the cabinet, and estimates are actually performed at each of these areas. And so then that filters down into our project programming process. Next slide, please. So not only do we have multiple places where estimates are performed, we also obviously have 12 districts. We interviewed these districts. Now this visual is a few years old, but at that time, all 12 districts got back to us and showed 5 different ways that they may perform a construction estimate. You can see reading down the rows the various ways that the districts reported that they did construction estimates. Next slide, please. And hey, don't forget, it takes a long time for our projects to get to letting. So the top row there is for major construction, starts at 10+ years out from letting, going all the way to 0 years, which is the letting. And you can see smaller projects going down the first column there: reconstruction, bridge, safety, etc. So if you're looking for that initial estimate of a major construction and somebody did it 12 years ago, that's a third of someone's career, or maybe even half of someone's career. And the folks that did it may be long gone by the time you get to year 4 in this visual, when you're starting in the final design process. Next slide, please. So as a part of our research and a part of the committee that's a part of this research, we documented some best practices. We recommended some terminology. So coming as a part of this software that we're going to talk about, we've got some nomenclature that we'll be learning. It's very similar to past nomenclature. No one will stumble over it, but we have project estimation phases now. And currently, the center, mainly Bob Lewis, yay Bob, is working with OIT to configure AASHTOWARE estimation. And we feel like AASHTOWARE estimation is going to be the main way that we improve our initial project estimates. And with that, I'll pass it on to the next speaker. Thank you, Don. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll roll to Mark Malhaber. Mark?
Okay, well, the KYTC has a number of goals that we're trying to meet with our estimates. One problem that is we currently record each type of estimate for each phase differently. Some aren't recorded at all, and there's no way to trace them from beginning to end. And the new program allows us to record estimates for all phases of all our projects. We're also hoping to reduce the amount of time we spend maintaining the Estimator project, our product. Estimator has to be manually installed on every PC when there's an upgrade, and every quarter, I believe, they have to upgrade the catalog. And if the catalog is out of date, then the numbers that the estimates are based on are out of date. Another thing, goal that we would like to see happen is to introduce consistent methods. Basically, with a single product, with a new the phases and the documentation for using the program, it shouldn't matter as much whether whether the estimate is made at a district office or by a consultant or at central office. It should all use consistent methods, and the answers should come out closer. There's still a lot of individual experience in it, so they won't be dead on or anything, but we're hoping for some more consistency. It provides us with a single location to store and retrieve all of the estimates for all phases. And then it also provides appropriate methods for doing estimation for each project phase. Now, these phases are shown from last to first, and that's probably how they will be implemented, just because we already had a letting system set up, and so the letting includes phases for final plans and the actual engineer's estimate for the historic bid based. And they are the method is to estimate the items and quantities and use beginning to do a regression to provide the expected price. Design estimates are, they're what comes out before they're sent to the engine, before they're advertised, and mostly those will also be based on historical bid-based pricing. The phase before design would be scoping, and some historical bid-based and some parametric. And then the planning will be almost all parametric. And by parametric, I mean it's kind of a rules of thumb thing, a 1 mile section of 4-lane through the mountains costs X number of dollars. We'll get that information from some from the spreadsheets that design and planning are currently cooperating and putting out. So the product provides all of these items in as part of the basic product with essentially no customization, but with the ability to configure it to meet our needs. So we're happy with the fit, and we're anticipating that Kentucky's goals will be met by this project. And now to see it in action, we'll turn it over to Bob Lewis.
We're going to talk about AASHTOWARE project pre-construction and AASHTOWARE project estimation, used to create a web-based project estimates. This is just a brief overview of the system functionality. For more in-depth instruction, we need to refer to the videos and user manuals that have been developed for the highway design. So you need to contact highway design for these resources. To log into the web-based system, you need your KYTC employees will need their network ID and password. Consultants currently using AASHTOWARE Estimator will transition to the product using KYTC user ID and password. To start the starting menu for this user is this is KYTC office user. There's different user roles for depending on what your job functions are. This user has access to pre-construction and estimation. They can open an existing project, an existing estimate. They can create a new project or create a new estimate. You know, a person in letting will have different screen menus to choose from. You can change your role. So if you're a user that works on lettings as well as creates projects, you might have you can change your role. You would go up to the home menu up in the upper left-hand corner. Those are the links to get into those aspects of the program. The previous button, that's if you want to go back to something that you were previously working on in the system, you can use the previous button. In this case, I'm going to go to go to the pre-construction phase, and I'm going to go open up a project. When you open up the project screen, you can look at existing projects. If you know the project number or the road name, you can filter the list. You can set up a default search criteria. You can do it by date. You can do it by user created by. Additionally, a list may be filtered by user role. You could only see what certain projects, if a project's already in a letting, you might not be able to see those. You can see them, but you wouldn't be able to work on them. To start a project, you go to the action menu on a row action menu, the upside down triangle on the upper right hand side of the screen. You'll get a pull down menu. In this case, for this menu, it's showing me I can either add or I can import. Import would be if I have a XML file that I've exported out of Estimator. Adam will be going over that later after my presentation. I'm just going to do the add function. To add, you'll get a screen. It's the add screen. You'll want anything that's got a red asterisk is a required field. In this case, on this screen, the project ID obviously is an add. The nomenclature for inputting a project for the districts is you put in the district number, in this case 05, 037 Franklin County, 0060 would be US 60, 20 is the year you created it, and 03, 01 is a sequential number for that series of numbers. Each project has to have a unique number, and that's a way to come up with a unique number. Project description, obviously Versailles Road, route number, route name. Spec book, that's really the list of bid items. We started a bid item list in 08 when we started PES LAS, which is now pre-construction. And that list obviously gets updated almost daily. So that's a default, and English is a default. We don't let metric too much anymore, hopefully. The other fields that you can go ahead and populate is project type, whether it's federal or non-federal, if you know at that time, urban or rural, the federal project number, FDO5, SP, BRZ, that kind of thing. You also have the ability to go ahead and add the county and district in the midpoint of a project from the add screen. Once you save it, right-hand side of the screen, you want to save. You'll get a more robust field for that project summary. You have the ability to put in the project work type, a 6-year plan if it's a 6-year plan type project, whether there's railroad involvement, the engineering contingency percent, 5-10%, ADT. Some of these fields are used by maintenance, and so they don't have a red asterisk by them because design historically doesn't use ADT. Conversely, 6-year plan is used by design, but rarely used by maintenance. So those are some fields. Depending on what section you're in, you'll need to fill them out. After you get the project information inputted, you want to start an estimate. You just use the quick link on the upper line there. You got a cost estimate quick link there that you'll want to go to. You notice that when I inputted the midpoint, you can just type in the degree, minutes, seconds, decimal of seconds, and the colons will auto-populate. That's just something I learned a couple of months ago. It's a nice feature. You want to be sure to save anything you've done. You'll get a message that says you have unsaved changes. You want to click save, and the message will go away. You don't want to lose anything you've done. So save early and often. You get the cost estimate. You open up cost estimates. You'll get the cost estimate general tab. This is just, you can add some attributes to all estimates. If you know the construction year, obviously you know the date you're estimating. You can use the highway type, state road, interstate, parkway, county road, terrain, whether it's rolling. Those attributes will help you with the bid history profile prices. So we want to go down to the cost estimate, a tab right below general, and we can either add or you can copy an existing cost estimate. If you have a template, you have typical items that you want to use, you can copy an existing cost estimate, or you can add. I'm going to add I'm going to use the add feature here. There again, you get a add screen. You'll have an asterisk by the required fields. In this database, currently we don't have the cost estimate phase marked as a required field. It will be in the future, but you'll see that there's a pull down menu on a lot of items. It's either free typing or pull down menus. In this case, I've got a pull down menu, and I'm going to say I'm in the final plans design phase. You can be in the scoping phase, planning, conceptual, scoping, design, final plans, maintenance, final maintenance estimate, engineer's estimate, and if you don't know what it is, you can make a blank estimate. Then you also have a type, and that's generally who's doing it: consultant, central office, section office, district office. Should note that the estimate name should include the name of the project. You can copy and paste the project name from the entity there, and then you want to put a code, be it SC for scoping, CO for conceptual, PL for planning, DE for design at the end of the name there. There again, each estimate needs to have a unique number too, so that's a way to make it unique. So as you can see, open up the cost. When you go to your add screen and save it, you pop into this screen. I've already created 2 estimates for this job. One is a price control. You can only have one price control estimate. You can have multiple estimates, but only one is the price control. So you can toggle that flag. But and when you're running reports at the project level, it'll use the one that has the price control on it. So then you just open up whichever estimate you want to update or revise. There again, you can see you have the name, you have a description that you can use. That description can be, as explicit as you want to make it. The phase, estimated by, hopefully you know what your name is, estimate type. There's also a snapshot tracking percentage. They talk about 50% plans, you put 50% in there. If you know about how far along you are on the estimate, you can use that to help. When you take a snapshot of a job, you can kind of know at a point in time of how far along you were. So first thing we want to do is, one thing could do is we can update the bid item history profile. Currently, I have it set up for 36 months as a default bid history. You can change it to a different bid history. There might be a reason to do that. If you've got a lot of items that are seldomly bid, you want to use a longer bid history to be able to get regression models and average prices for some items. You can do specific items. You can change. You can have a default of, say, 36 month, but you want to give a 60-month history for one specific item. You have the ability to do that on an item-by-item basis too. So, but if you want to change that, you go to the row action menu and you get a pull-down menu, and one of them is to select a bid item history profile. So you can change it. As you can see, these are rolling averages from whatever the current letting is backwards. So the 6 month would have 6 months worth of lettings in it. The last 6 month and the 60 month would have 60 month worth of lettings in it, including the latest. So there's no need to update that. With Estimator, they only update them every 3 months. You got to make sure you have the current catalog in. Okay. Next thing you want to do is you go back to your main menu, and you can have the ability to add categories. Similar to an Estimator, you've got roadways, you got paving, you got signalization. If you use a template, those items would already be populated. And you want to go to the item pricing worksheet link, quick link. It's a ability to add items and prices. You can also do that under the cost estimate tab, but the item worksheet is more of a spreadsheet feature. Note that if you're importing, and Adam will go over this, if you import a item from Estimator, saving and save an estimate is done in cost estimation. Items and categories are added to the project level. So they'd already have prices in there, and you come in here and create a cost estimate, and you can save it. That'll give you a snapshot of that Estimator file. So I'm going to go in and just create some more items. Once you get into the item worksheet, you have the ability to select items. You can either add one at a time, or you can do you can select multiple items. In this case, I did select items. I typed in the word base, and anything that has the word base in it shows up. And you can click on those items that you want to add to your list. Anything with a green check mark has been added. You can also, upper right-hand corner, it says I've got 2 selected. You can click on that right-hand button, and it'll show you all that you have selected. In this case, you can see I also added a servicing item to my list. Once you get a list of items selected, you can go add them to the cost estimate. You'll be able to add more if you need to, no problem. Once you add an item, you want to add a quantity to it and save it. Again, save is your friend. So once you've added quantities and saved it, you go to the action menu again, your upside down triangle, right-hand side, and calculate bid prices. It comes back. It takes a few seconds, depending on how many items and categories you have. You can do Control-R to refresh the screen. If you're anxious to get the prices in a hurry, you can go ahead and add your categories to the items, or select more items, and it'll be updating the price history in the background. So as you can see, the prices came in. DGA for this small quantity of 100 tons was $35 a ton. There again, depending on what the quantity you put in there, it's a regression model, and it'll give you a prices based on the regression model. Here you can add categories to the items, depending on what categories you have selected. And then you go back to the cost estimate summary. Go to the cost estimate summary, and from there you can also add ad hoc prices. For example, if you have a bridge, signalization, or other categories, you don't have a list of items, but you have an estimate. They said, well, the 2 signals are going to cost $100,000. So you can put that in as an ad hoc price, mark it as active, and it'll show up in the project pricing. Additionally, you can have non-construction items. You can track some of those, like right-of-way utilities can be entered as well. And they can be marked as active or inactive, but you can have a history of them for the estimation purposes. Once you've added the projects and prices to a project, if you're pretty well done with it, you want to build project items. You want to do this process, after you pretty well got most of your items in there. This will create a list of project items from an estimate that was tagged with price control. Once it's selected, run bid items. This is for new projects, not one that's been imported. After the build item in process has been run, pricing is done at estimation, and any items or quantities that need to be updated are done in pre-construction. So you need to toggle back and forth between the two softwares. After build project, snapshot is automatically taken. That's just a static copy of an estimate at the time it's taken. You can create a snapshot at any time. You can make an ad hoc snapshot. You can also have the system can be set up to take it at certain percentages of work. If the snapshot percentage change, you can set it up where it'll take a snapshot automatically. So you can either look at the snapshots or create a snapshot. In this case, you can see the list of snapshots have been taken for this estimate. The one automatically done when the building project, and I did an ad hoc one too. So basically, it's just a static copy of that. You got a way to put in a description of the snapshot and a reason, either ad hoc or what phase you're in. And you can also look at the bid items, any ad hoc prices you did for that snapshot. You can't change anything, but you can see what they were. You can print them out. And then now, once you're finished looking at your snapshots, you want to go back to the quick link for cost estimate. And what you're you've done the build items, or you've imported it from Estimator, you want to add more items or more categories. You want to go back to your parent project. You go to your action menu to go to your parent project, or you can use your previous button and phase back to your parent project. So you're back to parent project again, and you go to the quick link for categories and items. So if you want to add a category, you can go here. You can also go to items to add more items. And you can just go to new and add more items to your, and with the quantities. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Adam, and he's going to show you how to import a current estimator file into project pre-construction, and then also go into the cost estimate phase.
All right, thank you, Bob. And as they switch slides, I'll just make note. Obviously the end goal of this is to fully switch to estimation, but in the meantime, there'll probably be instances where you've been working an estimator for a while. You have a project that has a lot of bid items, and necessarily you wouldn't want to recreate that in estimation totally. So this kind of next slides are a way to import your current estimator file into estimation so that you don't have to recreate a lot of that information. Next slide, please. So first off, with anything I do, I like to create a duplicate copy of the files that I'm getting ready to manipulate. So I would recommend go ahead and making a backup copy of your original estimate and estimator. Once you create your copy, I would make sure that all bid items that require supplemental descriptions, such as clearing and grubbing, but there's certain bid items that require supplemental descriptions, such as clearing and grubbing. Typically requires approximate acreage to be filled in. The reason I mention this is that estimation will give you a error when you try to import the file. So it's good to go ahead and have all this set up first. I would also fill in as much general project information as possible. Project name, description are two big ones, as estimation will be looking for this on import. And as I said earlier, error will be given if some of this information is not provided. So just fill in as much as possible. Next slide, please. So you can go into Estimator and go file, export estimate file. And that's shown with the red arrow on the screen. Next slide. This next step is not necessarily something that's required, but if you have manipulated the estimator file by adding new categories that aren't a default category, the new estimation software has a hard time reading that. And so this app that I'm getting ready to show you kind of fixes some of those and makes the estimator file readable by estimation. So for KYTC users, this link can be provided to you from OIT, but basically you copy the link onto your desktop and then you run the setup.exe file as admin, and the widget to the right should display. For consultants, your KYTC project manager or OIT can probably provide this for you for download as well. But again, if you really haven't manipulated the estimator file beyond what is a default, you may not need this step. And so I would recommend trying it without it first, and then if you need it, then follow these instructions. Next slide, please. So the Fixed Estimator app, it's pretty simple. You'll select your XML file that you created a copy of, and then the app will run automatically once you've selected it, and will create a new file with the word fixed at the beginning. And this is the one that you will use to import. Next slide, please. So going into estimation, as Bob explained, there's an Actions tab at the right, upper right side of the screen. You'll click on that and go down to Import File. And then you'll select your file from the screen and find your fixed estimator file, or your estimator file that you've made a copy of, whichever route that you've decided to go, and click Open. You'll then be directed to this next screen. Next slide, please. So you'll have some options on import. Typically, I've used defaults, and that's worked well for me. So once you've selected the options that you would like, go to the top right of the screen and click Import. Next slide. If it's successful, you'll get a green box at the top of the screen. If not, you'll get a red box with the error messages that need to be corrected. They're pretty descriptive about what needed to be provided. A lot of times that's supplemental descriptions that I've missed out, or project description. And then I would typically just go back into your estimator file, repeat this, fill in or need to be correct, and go through the process again. And then until you get your import, then click Open Project as the red arrow is pointing to. Next slide, please. So now you've successfully imported a project and estimation pre-construction module. This is it has imported all the data from Estimator, but you haven't necessarily you don't necessarily have a new estimate, an estimation yet using that data. So some of this will be kind of going over what Bob had discussed, but basically you'll go to your quick link cost estimate tab at the top right, or top left, excuse me. Next slide, please. General project information has been carried over from Estimator. Next slide, please. The screen that you see here should be familiar from what Bob explained, but basically you'll fill in your cost estimate name, and I would follow his instructions for how to properly name your estimate. Your description, estimate phase is pretty important, as it'll assign contingencies based on how far you're into your estimate. Estimated by, fill in as much information as possible, and then click save at the top right. Next slide, please. Once you've done that, your estimate should be pulled in from the information that you've imported. And then to view that, just click your new estimate that is now shown below the add button. Next slide, please. So here's the, general estimate information. And to view your bid items, I typically like to go to the item pricing worksheet quick link at the top of the page. And that is shown here at this screen. Next slide, please. Your bid items now are viewable and can be modified from here. The item pricing worksheet is a great way to modify multiple bid items at a time. So that's why I kind of recommend utilizing this feature. And that's all I got. So back to you, Don.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Okay, just briefly on next steps. So one of the questions you may have is who's actually using the software currently. We started working initially with the procurement, construction procurement staff. So we have the estimating branch, Donnie Miracle's group, as well as Wayne Simpson's group, the awards branch. They've used the software for the last 3 lettings. And so our goal next is to continue working with the highway design staff and district personnel and the consultants to get them the tools and the resources that they need in order to begin and continue testing the software. And our goals are to hopefully start working with other areas of the cabinet, including maintenance and rural and secondary roads and planning on using the software as well. So that concludes our presentation, and we'll now open it up for questions.
Yeah, it looks like we already had several questions that I tried to answer. Hopefully I answered them correctly. Okay, yeah, Jeff even answered one too.
I'll try, Bob.
There you go. Here, I got another poll coming up here. Pretty important one.
I think Adam has an update. Adam, you want to give us an update on your slides?
Yes. So I just want to make a slight clarification to my portion of the presentation. The title probably would have been best described as importing estimator files into AASHTOWARE project pre-construction and creating cost estimates and estimation. Because when you initially import information from Estimator, you're actually importing into the AASHTOWARE's pre-construction module. Only until you recreate your estimate using the import information will you be working in the estimation module. And at this point, like Bob had described, pricing can be modified from here, and bid items and quantities are updated in pre-construction module. The import process is the same as described, but I just wanted to kind of clarify the terminology to avoid some confusion.
Okay, thank you, Adam. And one other note, I mentioned that the procurement staff, they've used the software for the last 3 lettings. Recently, we identified some of the prices that were generated through the bid history profiles were a little lower than what was expected. So we are reviewing the pricing profile data and working closely with Infotech to try to resolve this issue. So just a note on that. I'd like to personally thank everybody, Jeff, Adam, and Bob for doing this presentation. And I would just remind everybody to complete the session survey. It should pop up at the conclusion of this. I think we've answered all the questions as they've come up.
Don, I see one question in the chat. Diana Ratcliffe said, what's the timeline for rollout to consultants? The intent has always been to do a design memo to announce, and I'm not sure when that will roll out. Don just mentioned a concern. We don't want to roll out anything with concern.
And well, one of the other things, Jeff, is Patrick Perry is we're working closely with him in highway design, and I know he's had some staff that have been testing the software. So we're going to continue to work with that area, and so it'll really be up to Patrick and the highway design staff as to when we move forward for the
And also
consultant.
need to get it tested with a consultant too.
Yes.
Adam, there's a question about Estimator. Erica Smith says, does it import any notes from Estimator files? Do you know that answer?
Like supplemental descriptions, or?
I assume that's what she means.
Yes.
Now, supplemental descriptions certainly come in. I don't know whether you did. We can check on that.
Another question from Diana Radcliffe, who will be giving user IDs to consultant staff. We haven't worked out that detail yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously they'd have to have a user ID and a password given to them from KYTC to be able to access the system. And it would be restricted to the jobs that they're responsible for. So yeah, that hasn't been fully vetted yet.
And Angela Fitzpatrick normally handles getting everybody set up with their account and so on. So she'll be a contact there for getting people set up.
I'd say just keep an eye out for a design memo coming out. And these are good questions. Appreciate your all's help with it. Any other questions out there?
All right. If not, thanks very much, everybody, for sitting in on our discussion, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Erica, I don't know the answer to your question. Adam, you seen Erica's question? I'm in the chat. She sent a question.